Hello. This is not a part of the show. I am popping in with this really quick heads up about the audio quality. I'm sitting here at almost midnight in my onesie. Those of you who are watching can see, those of you who are listening, I have on my onesie. I'm in the middle of like my nighttime face routine, sipping some hot chocolate, and I decided to just make this really quick piece about the audio quality for the podcast. Now, if you're listening, you might think that the quality is really not bad at all. I just got a brand new microphone and it is doing what needs to be done. Okay. But at the time where I was recording the episode that you're about to listen to, I was having a lot of technical issues. There was a storm coming through and the signal was not great. I ended up having to use my phone's microphone to record the episode, and the quality was not great. On top of the fact that my guest was also having some connectivity issues, and so the audio was going in and out and doing different things. Most of the episodes that you will hear, I want to say at least through January, are not of the cleanest quality, but the content is so good. And I'm not just saying that because it's my show. I'm saying that because I've had the pleasure of speaking with some really amazing people. And moving forward, the quality is going to be so much better because I have this microphone. The next thing that I'm getting is a new webcam so that the video quality is just as good, if not better, than the audio quality. So, thank you in advance for bearing with me as I get this love of mine out into the ethers, as I share this content with you all, because I know that audio issues aside, you're going to get something that you need from something that I say or something that is shared by one of the many amazing guests that I have on the show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this first episode of the Power of Pleasure podcast. And I hope that you'll be back and join me each week for a brand new episode. Welcome to the Power of Pleasure podcast. I'm your host, L'Oreal, and I'm on a mission to help you embrace pleasure as a lifestyle. This show is a love letter to all the pleasure life has to offer. And each week, I'll be chatting with friends, loved ones, peers, and people I admire about all things pleasure. Through these conversations, I'm giving you the best tools, resources, and tips to help you create a life that is ooey gooey juicy good, one shift at a time. So buckle up and let's get ready for this week's episode. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Power of Pleasure podcast, where our mission is to help you embrace pleasure as a lifestyle because it is your birthright. Today, I am joined with the amazing, the sunshiny, delightful Miss Tanjarae Porter, and we are going to be talking about how you can find pleasure in arts and creativity and productivity in a healthy way. All right, so help me give a round of applause to the wonderful Miss Tanjarae. How you doing? How you doing?
I am lovely. I am lovely on today. It's great
Awesome.
over here.
Good. It's been a long time since we caught up, and so I'm gonna try to keep it focused. But just so everybody knows, like Tangerine is my sister from another mister. We go way back, and I'm so happy that she decided to be a guest on the show because she does all the things, and she manages to stay organized, and all the things that she does with excellence. And I'm proud of her and excited for where her journey is going. And I wanted her to come and share some tips on how she manages to still wear all the hats that she wears and stay organized and still find the joy in everything that she's doing. And I'm sure that's something that we all relate to, especially women. We are never just wearing one hat, we are never just doing one thing. And so her ability to stay organized and keep their calendar together and put those boundaries in place has been absolutely amazing. So I figured, what better person to talk to this about? So On that note, before we jump into it, can you let the people know a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Yes, so I am Tanjarae Porter, entrepreneur, arts education coach, as well as productivity coach, with my connections design and consulting. And oh, child, baby, that's a whole lot right there. Just being an entrepreneur and former teacher, like I taught for 13 years. So as a elementary and former middle school teacher, so yeah, business owner while teaching at a certain point in time, and trying to live life and be an organization member. I'm part of three organizations. It might be more. I'm just gonna stick with the three. Uh, yes, it's a lot of moving pieces over here.
Thank you for that. And it definitely sounds like your plate is full and you are busy, busy. But I have had the pleasure of seeing how you have, at least from the outside looking in, seamlessly incorporated and made space for all these things. Because the things that you're doing are things that you enjoy, they're things that you love, they're things that are important to you. And most people would just kind of look at the solution as, let me stop doing all of these things, right? But then we kind of suffer on the back end because there's things that we want to do. Our heart is in a certain place, but we haven't been able to find the room for all of the things that we want to do. And so, how have you been able to incorporate all of these different organizations, these different obligations, even your hobbies, your downtime, family and friends time, on top of running multiple businesses? How have you been able to do that and not
Mhm.
go crazy?
Yep. So let me start from the beginning. You just said something in regards to how some people get overwhelmed with all the different things, and they eventually just stop. I'm not gonna lie, that was the beginning. I did unintentionally, like I mentioned just a minute ago. I've been a teacher for years, and if you know anything about the education system, no matter what grade level you teach, what content you teach, teaching is a all encompassing thing. It's a full body, full mental experience. And as much as you try to create and curate boundaries, especially at the beginning of your educational career, and it's with any job, but especially as a teacher, you oftentimes don't have boundaries. You oftentimes are so encompassed in doing this thing and doing it right. And of course, we know the expectations of teachers is like, you got to get this thing done by the end of the day. In the end of the day, and ain't no end to because the stimulus is never ending. You got to grade papers. You got, got to call families. There's so many things that you have to do that your to-do list never stops. And with that being said, that was my life like for a good chunk of the early part of my career. I was so into what I was doing as far as my career goes, although I enjoyed it, that I didn't make time for anything else. I stopped to the point where
Mm-hmm.
I lost myself. I'm not gonna lie to you. I lost who I was, my identity outside of teaching. I'm a dance educator, so I wasn't taking dance classes. I wasn't doing nothing in the field of study that I'm teaching, right? Um, I went to work, came home. Went to work, came home. Went to work, hung out with the husband, came home. Like things like that. But as far as like doing the hobbies that I enjoy, creating, all of that, nah, not out. It was not happening. So I had to start there because a lot of people see me now of like, how do you balance it all? It's because I didn't have anything at the beginning. Um, so I can definitely tell you where the switch happened, which is crazy because I know it wasn't like this and true for everybody else. But the pandemic is what did it for me. I'm not gonna even lie to you. Like it was happening a little bit beforehand where I kind of slowly got back into like
Mm-hmm.
some hobbies. I love decorating planners and all of that. So I've been doing that. But again, that was very much so aligned to my job. Like I got a plan this week. Well, let me put some stickers on this thing. It was a fun thing for me. But when the pandemic hit, I know a lot of teachers and a lot of people across the world were just like, oh my gosh, I hate it here. It was like, oh my gosh. I love it. Loved it so much. Minus like people dying and all that, the negative parts. But it was such a healing experience for me personally because I had a chance to just focus on me, my hobbies. I wasn't so attached to my job at that moment because we were teaching virtual, and that
Mm-hmm.
was a beautiful time. I was loving the fact that I taught dance and was not an academic teacher because the stress that they went through, I didn't have to go through all that extra stress. I had to make my little videos and post some little bad boys, and I did my little reading interventions, and we were good. Um, so I got so much of my time back during the pandemic because of this shift that we all experienced, right? And I was like, okay, what do I want to learn? I started to do crochet, which I actually did that before the pandemic hit and shut down the world. Um, I became interested in crocheting early January. Ended up taking a crochet class February 22nd. I remember the date. February 22nd. It was still in person. And I was practicing and all excited. And then of course the world shut down. And now I have all this extra time, so if you will, um, to like be teaching my students, but like me having a crochet hook in my hand while I'm teaching my students and practicing sight words, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was mad crazy, but that was like the starting point of me getting back into hobbies, like things that I enjoy, journaling, like just stuff that I had stopped doing, reading books. Oh my gosh, I read so much. Well, listened. That's when I got on the Audible
Mm-hmm.
train, just because it was so much fun. I was like, oh yeah, I could pick up a book and not be interrupted, not have to worry about lesson plans and all of this right now. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
snaps. So I hope that kind of helped the story, or
Mm-hmm.
give an insight of just like how we got here.
Yeah.
I didn't have a life.
That makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate the honesty. I personally feel like the pandemic was like a major reset for the whole world, seriously. People that were used to just constantly being on the go, people that had these routines that were like draining, and when the world shut down and we have no choice but to sit down and be with ourselves, be in the environments that we've created, be around people that we have committed ourselves to, in situations that we've committed ourselves to, and we're really taking inventory. It's like, I don't like none of this shit. Like, I don't like this. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't like how I'm living. I don't like how I feel,
Hmm.
and a lot of people started getting back into hobbies, getting back into their mental health journeys, physical health journeys. A lot of people started businesses around this time. I was able to travel. Like
Me.
I got like furloughed at my job, and I was able to take a couple of trips out of town. Was Couldn't even travel unless I was traveling for work. And I was able to finally like travel
Yeah.
and spend time with some of my friends, that are not local to me, like going to different places to spend time with these
Hmm.
people. And it was awesome. And so I appreciate the honesty about
Hmm.
having to sit down and just looking at your life like, I don't like this. And noticing like the
Hmm.
need to do things that weren't connected to your work.
Hmm.
That's definitely
Yes,
a big
girl.
part. Yes, that's definitely a big part. And so once you took the inventory and you got back into the hobby, how did you start to how did you figure out what to add to your plate and what to maybe put off until
Hmm.
later, or what to take off your plate?
So running back just a little bit pre-COVID, I'm a member of Order of the Eastern Star, Prince Hall affiliation. For those of you who are out there who know about, oh yes, and all of that. And I'm a part of that since 2017. Yay! It's next year is gonna be my eighth birthday. Um, I think I counted that right. Anywho, so I've been a part of that. So
Mm-hmm.
for so long, even as I was educating and all that jazz. So that being such a staple in my life already, I already had that on the calendar. right? Like I knew I gotta go to meetings every third Monday. We usually get a calendar about what's going to happen. Like we're doing this community service on this day. We got this district meeting on this day. So those pieces were already there. And same with work. Like I already knew like we got open house this night. So already having structures in place is what helped me to balance first of like, okay, I know this date is this date, no matter what. Ain't nothing I can do. I can't move it. All of that. What ended up happening moving forward, as far as like adding more things on my plate and taking things off, as cliche as it sounds, using a freaking calendar. It sounds so cliche, like, oh yeah, a credit. Like, no, I use a calendar for everything. Y'all will be overwhelmed at if you was to see my Google Calendar right now. I showed it to uh, a colleague yesterday, and she was like, "Oh shit, you literally have everything on your calendar." Um, so as cliche as it sounds, it's literally that. Because it was a point where I was double booking myself. I need to be at this person's baby shower, but I'm also scheduled to be at this community service situation or whatever the situation may be. I was double booking myself and I got sick of it. I'm trying to stretch myself every situation. So, yep, I'm the calendar. Use it however you plan on using it, whether it's your paper. I'm a digital girl. Use it and don't just put just the appointments. Put um, if you got children, put your children's games, their appointments, your husband's appointments, his night out with the boys. Schedule yourself. That's been a new thing the last couple years. Is scheduling me on the schedule with all this extra stuff. Um, so I can definitely say that's how I started to pick and choose and balance things a little bit more. But I can definitely say last year, as I was teaching, clearly teaching has had a huge impact on my life. Last year, as I was teaching, we had a lot of major transitions inside of the school. Teachers transitioning out of our work and, making their own life decisions. Just your prerogative, boo. If you feel like this ain't for you, okay, boo boo, bye. I'd rather for you to leave than stay and damage my kids. Okay. But with that being said, the shifts happen inside of the organization, as they would in any organization. But of course, we're in from the tiny humans. We have to take every move seriously, because their success is our success, right? So, because it was such a high turnover year, that impacted me personally, financially in a good way though. But and I realized I had to take a really hard look at capacity. That's something we don't talk about enough. We talk about balance, we talk about harmony. What we don't talk about is capacity, whether that is time capacity, whether that is physical capacity, mental capacity. Yeah, and trying to be an educator and a business owner and a wife and an organization member, something gonna fall. And what
Mhm.
ended up falling, I could be totally transparent, was me being an organization member, like, and I was an officer. I had an important role, but it failed because by the time I got home, I couldn't function. Um, a lot of crying last year, a lot of crying, y'all. So it was that, as well as I could tell you my business took a hit too, because I wasn't able to show up as this creative being, as this coach, consultant, and all of that, because I literally did not have the time capacity, let alone the mental capacity to do anything for anybody. Y'all, sucked ass, sucked ass, horrible time. But the check was good though. I can say, was it working? I don't know, but the check was nice.
Mhm. It be like that.
Yeah, yeah. So to run it back, using my calendar definitely helped, but also like reflecting on capacity and being honest with yourself first and saying like, nah, dog, I can't do it. Like, and being okay with saying I can't do it. I had to say it to many people. I can't do it. I can't function. Like I'm
Mhm.
tired, exhausted. To the point like I had an event. Well, it wasn't my event, it was our organization event.
Mhm.
And They asked me to host on a whim, which is fine. I love talking to people clearly. Um, and it was fun, but I made a mistake in what I was saying or announcing, introducing somebody. And of course I got feedback. Usually feedback don't bother me. I'm like, okay, cool, let me go do it again. But I was so exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
To give you insight, that week, 5 or 6 teachers was out due to COVID, on top of all the
Mm.
vacancies that we had. So I shouldn't have been there to begin with. I should have said no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I should have said no to everything, let alone hosting, because that takes a different type of energy that you really need to prepare for, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I just remember, like, I don't want to do it no more. I literally I said I don't want to do it no more. And my president came to me and she was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm tired. I can't even think straight." And I literally cried in her arms in front of everybody. Now, whether people were paying attention to me, I don't know. I really didn't care. But I
Mm-hmm.
cracked. I cracked at our fundraiser, just cracked. And that was the
Mm-hmm.
moment where I was like, "No, sis, you got to take something off your plate. You gonna have to step back." So yeah.
And happy early 8th anniversary. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
That is awesome. I wanted to touch on because I was going to ask you, like, was it hard for you initially to um I guess take inventory of your capacity? And based on what you just said, I'm gonna say yes. But I would like to still ask the question, but instead of like, was it hard? I'm going to ask, what were some of the, I guess, thoughts that you had when it came to your
Mhm,
capacity, and why,
mhm.
why did it take as long as it took for you to be
Ooh.
like, no, I can't do that? Like,
Uh-huh.
what do you think happened with that?
Ooh-wee. So I had to jot that down, make sure I hit all the points. So
Mhm,
the first part, was it hard to take inventory on capacity? Yes. Mm,
mhm,
all right. And I could say the reason why I'm an overachiever.
mhm,
And I'm an overachiever and high achiever.
mhm,
So I was the kid that would always like go above and beyond. Like that's just my energy operating in excellence,
mhm,
fidelity, whatever that looks like within the capacity that I have. I oftentimes say I'm a reformed perfectionist. I no longer believe that perfection is real. Perfection is not real. I'm just gonna do the
mhm.
best I can. But that took a long time to get to. So yes,
Yeah.
it was very hard, even with all this other craziness going on, very hard to like take a step back and be like, sis, you can't do it all. You can't hold up everything with the same manner.
Mhm,
Um, some of the thoughts that I had in regards to capacity, ooh, originally I never thought about it.
mhm,
Originally, I had never thought about what that word truly meant
mhm,
in my life. I would hear other people talk about it like I don't have the capacity. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, and
mhm,
I would do it in regards to I thought about it in regards to like as far as setting boundaries with taking on other people's emotional baggage. I thought about it in
mhm,
that way. Like I
mhm,
knew that like, okay, today was a hard day at work, or I got X, Y, and Z I need to focus on. I don't have the mental capacity to deal with or support you. I don't want to say deal with, that sounds very negative, but support you in this particular situation right now. So
mhm,
I did think about it on that end as far as like being a support system to everybody, because yeah, that happens. Um, but as far as like I never thought about my physical capacity or my time capacity
mhm,
in detail like I should have. Like I was still taking on
mhm,
clients, still doing design work, still coaching, doing all this other stuff while trying to ensure that my lowest reader could read
mhm,
at work, as well as taking some of the work home and trying to figure out like, okay, this baby might be dyslexic. Let me get this
mhm,
paperwork. Let me get this data. Let me get all of this. So it was a lot of clashing that was happening. Also, while bringing in new members into the organization, because that was my role,
mhm,
to bring new members in and being study guides and all of that for them and all that jazz. So it was, I had never thought about it literally until I cracked. Well, I would
mhm,
say a little bit before I cracked. But
mhm,
the cracking is where I was just like, oh shit, like I can't physically I can't function.
Mhm.
And it was too many of those days of I can't function. It was too
Mhm.
many days of me crying in my husband's arms. And I'm like, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go
Mhm.
back. I don't want to go back. I'm tired. I can't think. I can't breathe. Like my anxiety came back tenfold. And it was crazy. I haven't had like, I mean, once you have anxiety, you always have it. But I
Mhm.
hadn't felt that way
Mhm.
in a long time. Really since like my grandfather had passed in 2019 year, I hadn't felt that ugh feeling in a long
Mhm.
time. And it started to come back.
Mhm.
So yeah. Yeah, why did it take so long? It was because nobody told me, not that I needed permission from anybody else, but no one told me to sit down. Except for you. You told me to sit down. You told me to sit my tail down.
I did.
But yeah, you did several times. And I mean, granted, like my husband would tell me like, you need to go rest. But when people are so used to you carrying the load and being,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna toot my own horn and being excellent at what you do and
Yeah.
how you carry said load, on all boards, sides of the spectrum, you oftentimes are seen as like you can carry a lot, but it's not that I
Mhm.
can carry it a lot. I just carry it well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I didn't give myself permission to stop and be okay with stopping. I was going through like that guilt, like if I don't do this, if I don't show up to work, then BB ain't gonna read. And that was literal. We had no teachers.
Mhm. Mhm.
The baby couldn't read. She was in first grade. So it's like,
Mhm.
if I don't go to work, who's going to teach her? Who's going to do her intervention? So that was that. If I don't show up to these meetings, then we can't, as an officer in this role, we can't do X, Y, and Z business. If I don't
Mhm.
show up in my business, then I don't make no extra money. Like that's one. But
Mhm.
my coachees don't get coached. If I don't
Mhm.
show up in my design business, then what the people had paid me for, they're not gonna get and blast me on the internet.
Mhm.
So it's just so many layers until I couldn't do it no more. So I just said,
Yeah. Yeah, and you definitely said something. You said a couple of things actually. But when you said that it's not that you could carry it all, is that you just carried it well. I think that is like a key piece to why so many of us have to get to that breaking point. Especially as Black women, because we learn how to carry all the things from a very young age,
mm,
directly or indirectly. And so that part about not knowing the difference, like not knowing about the different parts of capacity, that plays into that. Because I didn't learn about that either until like I would pick up books and stuff. But majority of the time when you hear
mhm,
people talk about capacity, they're talking about it from an emotional boundary standpoint. They're not talking about,
mhm,
you know, physical. I'm trying to see if I want to use the word limits or limitations because those words are different.
mhm,
I'm gonna say limits. Um,
mhm,
because limits is like where you have like where the ceiling is or where you have to stop. Limitation is like it's more like a capability or something. So kind of
mhm.
interchangeable but a little bit different. Anyway, um
Yeah, yeah,
the neurospicy brain.
yep. And
So
I went down a rabbit hole with you too.
so it's a lot of times when you hear about capacity, it's only talked about from like an emotional standpoint. It's not the
Mhm,
physical doesn't come into it. And so a lot of us don't know, and we all kind of hit that breaking point where it's like, what is happening? I don't feel good. I don't like this. What do I do about this? And so
mhm,
your way through that was getting back into your hobbies, using your calendar, and then you jump, at least again, outside looking in, you jump like head first and completely submerge yourself in all things creativity. And
yes.
I thought it was so freaking dope. So how did you like how did you do that? Because a lot of folks they get to a point and they're like, okay, I can't do this. And then it's like, well, what do I do next? Was it like a
Mhm.
feeling that you got, or did you just randomly decide to try something and you just took it and ran with it?
A couple different things. So I'm thinking about from the design aspect of it because
Mhm.
that kind of took off. I do
Mhm.
have a design business, which has been merged under my education consulting business. But
Mhm.
anywho, this here or there. I've always been a creative soul. So as long as I remember, like my parents are freaking creative. My dad is self-taught artist.
Mhm.
However, I started like I got it. I always got a backstory. It's the neurospicy in me. But I
Mhm.
started like as a kid drawing and things like that. And that's had always been a source of protection for me because we can talk about trauma another day, girl. That's
Mhm.
always been a source of protection and pleasure. Since we
Mhm.
over here on the pleasure
Yeah.
podcast, POP holding it down. Okay. Um, so it was my safe space and all of that. So it never really went away. It just kind of merged to different forms. And I remember when I was maybe about 12, between, I'm gonna say 14, 14.
Mhm.
My granny, she's all things educator at the church, on the
Mhm.
church education board, all that, whatever they call it,
Yeah.
education stuff. And so she would throw these different programs at church or whatever. And who's got to pay all this money for these banners? So
Mhm.
what she ended up doing, we would go to the teacher store and get the large butcher paper, and she was like, "Make me a banner." So I would make banners. I would make little backgrounds. I remember drawing like the world. I think the thing was like you got the whole world in his hand or something like that. So I drew the world, and they hung it up on the back curtains behind the cross stand. I ended up making programs. Back when Microsoft Word was the only thing to use. Uh,
Mhm.
so it started there. Like
Mhm.
it's always been there, but as far as like using my creativity as a service, it started as a kid. You doing it for my granny, and doing like little projects for myself or whatever, but it started there. So, and then it became this thing that I myself and my mom ended up making the obituaries for the family members. I would find and she would come up with the wording, and vice versa. Like literally, we say we have a company inside the family. They don't pay us, and that's fine. I'm glad we can keep it in house, and we ain't got to spend no extra money, right? Um, but it became that too, and I never thought about it
Mhm.
at the time. Never thought about it as a job. I knew it was my gift. I knew creativity was my gift, but I never thought about using it as a service to make money, which is how we got
Mhm.
to where we are now. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, let me try something. Oh, let me design something just because it was fun and safe place to me, right?
Mhm.
So, what you see now is a result of that, also
Mhm.
a result of people on the outside who I didn't know well, who wasn't family and friends, who have always been around my creativity.
Mhm.
It took them to say, you should do this for other
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
And I was like, nah, I don't want to make my hobby into a business. I don't want to, all those different things. But in actuality, it was just imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like I was good enough to use my art,
Right.
especially through Canva, because you got the whole Canva is not graphic design situation. Wait, that's
Definitely.
another day. That part, that part. So you find these stereotypes and your own imposter syndrome and all of that. So I was like, I don't want to do this, and I don't think it's good enough, and all of that. And I'm
Mhm.
an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit. No matter what the
Yeah.
artistry is, I'm sensitive. I write. I do all those things. And so,
Period.
period, fool. I'm an artiste. Okay. Um, and also breaking through like mental barriers, being in the arts world, right?
Mhm.
Like as a dancer and going through all those motions of you not feeling good enough, people telling you ain't good enough,
Yeah. Yeah.
auditioning, rejection, and all of that. So it's so much clouded energy. And So bring that back to how we got to all things creativity. Now it was hearing from others, you're really good at this. Also, as an escape from what the heck happened last school year, of just like, I need to get back to what I know that gives me joy. That's being
Mm-hmm.
creative.
Yeah.
I need to do that because right now I'm unhappy. Right now I am cracking. The only thing that makes me happy, that feels meditative and calming to me, is creating something. And that was crocheting, that was designing, and granted, I put a little change on some of that stuff. Like, hey, go ahead and run me there. I'll make you a graphic. I got you. But it was a form of, therapy
Yeah.
for me as well. And so that's where it kind of came back from. And my business coach getting on my tail was like, you say you want to get out the school system, you better use your gift. It was that too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but making the choice to be so open with it is new.
Yeah.
That is new, like really, really new in the last 6 months of me like actually posting. Like, I did this. That's
Mm-hmm.
new. It was scary as hell. Because I'm behind
Yeah.
this my sister about my shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that choice came from the fact of I had prayed and asked God to allow me to use my gift to serve others.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whatever that looked like for him. Because I felt like he gave me the gift of education and teaching as well as the
Mm-hmm.
gift of creativity. And I wanted to use it, use both gifts, but specifically creativity in this instance to serve him. Like whatever that
Yeah.
looked like. I don't know. Sometimes it's Bible journaling, sometimes it's digital planning, sometimes it's a flyer. Whatever that
Mm-hmm.
means, like how can I glorify you in the midst of me doing this service for others, even if it's just to make somebody happy or make myself happy or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very new of just like making the choice, asking, you shall receive. And God was like, do
Mm-hmm.
it. And I was like, okay, I'm scared. Okay. He's like, post it. I'm like, no.
But I'm so glad you did though, because when I saw that post, I was like,
It was
but it was so good. I'm in the lookbook like, and you're not telling people you know how to do this stuff. Like listen, I just did that journal for my challenge, and I was like, I don't ever want to do this again. I was like,
and I'd
I
be like,
don't
yes, give it to me.
yet. Listen, I'm going through the lookbook like, wow, wow, ooh, ooh, like, and the stuff that you were doing, I'm like, you can do this in Canva, bro. Like, I can't. I listen. The link to the lookbook is in the show notes, people. Please go look. Because I know that there's people listening that's like, I need some flyers right now. Don't come to me. Please go to Tanjarae.
Got
My
you.
flyers are very ABC 123, and it's her flyers are giving like museum of art. They're not giving, finger paints and glue sticks,
You're so
baby. No,
silly.
it's not that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I love it. And I'm so proud of you, and I'm excited for where things are going.
Yes.
For you moving, you know, into like the new year and like the new
Mm-hmm.
offerings and merging the businesses and doing all of it. And so I
Yes.
want to ask you, like, how do you continue to prioritize the things that bring you joy and the things that bring you pleasure? And I guess kind of, I don't like to say balance, but there's the only word that kind of fits. So how do you balance those things with like
Mm-hmm.
your obligations and the stuff that you have to do?
Oh, girl. Okay. So just like I mentioned, like last year, yeah, I have to name it because it's
Yeah.
been such a shift in a year. It's been such a shift in a year. And okay, so annual planning. I know everybody be vision boarding and all that. Do that. Yes, have fun if that's your vibe, that's your thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I was doing annual planning for my business, of course, because you're supposed to, right? But I didn't do annual planning for myself, my personal
Mm-hmm.
self, like before the new year.
Yeah.
I started in June. It was totally random. Well, was it really random? It was kind of random. I was watching YouTube, and I'm a Notion girly. I love Notion. And the girl that I was watching, she every month she does like this goal setting thing, put out
Mm-hmm.
her goals for the month and all that. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So the planning of life things and prioritizing things for
Mm-hmm.
me actually started in June. And what came of that, I'll just say a little bit before that, but what came of that was I kind of took inventory because I used my calendar
Mm-hmm.
and realized that I didn't have a lot of me on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Actually, that what I just said is correct, but the timing is incorrect. Let me run it all the way back. The timing. I started documenting it in June. Let me say that. I was
Okay.
documenting the
Got you.
things in June, but run it all the way back with the annual planning situation. That is still true. During my moment with God and asking him about the whole gift and let me use it and all that, I also asked him to support me in my wellness.
Mm-hmm.
That was another, I got a whole prayer list, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
The 300 things, the Steve Harvey assignment, do it. I got to
Mm-hmm.
102. I didn't get 300. We got 102. We're gonna work with it. But anywho, so in that particular prayer list, I had wrote, God will provide me with a wellness team, a new wellness team.
Mm-hmm.
And what that meant for me was a new PCP. It meant a new therapist because I hadn't been in therapy in like 2, 3 years. It
Mm-hmm.
meant a new gynecologist. All of this, like I just wanted a brand new everything. It was just like a sense of
Mm-hmm.
renewal
Mm-hmm.
for me. Um, and with that happening, or me going on this journey of finding this new wellness team, if you will, um, I had to take inventory on my past of like, well, you ain't got a lot of you on this calendar. Only thing you have of you on this calendar, of course, is my nails appointment, because that's my other form of creativity. It's my nails and my hair. So I had those things on there, but those are like maintenance things, right? I didn't have moments of joy on there, whether that's me going skating or going to a show or whatever it is, those other things I enjoy, spending time with friends. I didn't have that on there. I didn't have wellness appointments other than my chiropractor appointment. And to be honest, I had missed those for months, like from March to like July, no, September, this
Oh,
September.
wow.
I hadn't
Wow.
went. Yeah, yeah, that's how crazy last school year was. It's just that I forgot to take care of myself, right? I basically had to recommit to myself. Like that's really where all this came from, was recommitting to myself of I can't have another year like 2019 where, and granted, a lot of that came from grief from losing my grandfather, but I can't have another year where I'm having severe migraines, where I'm having back to back anxiety attacks, where I'm having thoughts that I should not have, right? Like I should not be feeling like this. So I had to make a decision to like recommit to myself and whatever that looked like. And it started with a wellness team because
Yeah.
I needed to know my numbers. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I
Mm-hmm.
needed to know my numbers. And I was like, okay. And I'm so glad I did because we found out some other stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where it started, the recommitting. And then I made a list of all the things that just brought me joy, that
Yeah.
just made me happy. Just made a list.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the most childlike things of like, I like coloring, I like skating, I like doing all these little childlike things, line dancing. Like I could do that at home. I need a whole group to do that with. And realizing that a lot of the stuff that I enjoy don't take money. I like sitting outside. It don't take a lot of time if you just prioritize it. And so I started like embedding those little things. It's just like, let me just go stand outside. Even if it's
Mm-hmm.
work time. If it's my lunch, I go stand outside or sit in my car because the heat is so amazing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or sweatshirts, like little stuff that we just brush off. Like, no, I like sitting in a sweatshirt and it's fun with the hood on my head. Like,
Mm-hmm.
That's the neurospicy. I think we like that.
Yes, yes. Because for
I think we
me,
like
it's
that.
blanket. For me, it's
Yes.
blanket and socks.
Yes.
That's my thing.
If I bring one more blanket in this house, I might be sleeping on your couch.
Sometimes, like I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna land how it lands, but I know that it's gonna hit the folks that it's supposed to hit. Do not let these algorithms and stuff lie to you, because everybody is not living the same life. A lot of what you see is curated content, even from the people
Mm-hmm.
that you look up to, right? Like there's nothing wrong with having goals and aspirations, but even the people that you look up to, they are showing you what they want you to see. They are showing you that for a purpose. And so when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
your joy, your health, your happiness, your wholeness as a person, that is your responsibility.
Yes.
You cannot make
Yes.
anybody else responsible for that. And if you are hearing
Yes.
this and you start to feel a little conviction in your spirit, then baby, this is for you. Because I have been there. I've been in spaces where I was not able to think for myself, and I was just doing everything that everybody else told me to do, because I was so out of touch with who I
Mm-hmm.
was and what I wanted, that I didn't even trust myself to choose the right thing, or to choose what was best
Mm-hmm.
for at any given moment. And that left me with nothing. It left me feeling used. It left me feeling like crap. It left me sick. It left me hurt in many ways. And the only person that can save you from that is you. So even if you start
Girl,
just
that
like,
part.
yes, yes, like even if you start just 5 minutes a day doing something for yourself, over time,
Mm-hmm.
to add up to major changes. I know that the
It
pressures
is.
we face in life create the illusions that we don't have time for joy, but that's not true.
True. Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
is not true at all. Like I have been wanting to like start back exercising. My body is not ready yet. I'm still healing. So what have I been doing? Stretching for 10 minutes a day,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps. It gets the energy moving, and it gets me
Mm-hmm.
in a space where it's like, okay, I'm already out the bed, so let me just stay out the bed and go do something else.
Yeah. Feeling
You know,
successful.
yes, yes, feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
feeling accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to share that because just taking a few minutes to do
Mm-hmm.
something for yourself, it
Mm-hmm.
makes all the difference in the world, and it does not have to take a whole lot of time. And like you said, a lot
Yeah.
of that you found that you like to do, you don't even have to spend money.
Nope. Nope. And I would definitely say something that I've really implemented this year,
Hmm.
especially because of like health things that came up from finding the wellness team.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord for the wellness team.
And
I had to put prayer answered on my little list. So like prayer answered. Okay, thank you. But creating a list of non-negotiables,
yes.
whatever that looks like for you. For me this year, it was not working on my business during school breaks. The purpose
Mm.
of the school break is to take a break.
Mhm. Mhm.
And granted, there was some wiggle room I had to do just because clients need their age. But if I did have to wiggle, it was like I will work, say for instance, Thanksgiving break. I will work Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving break, and the rest of the break I'm not doing nothing
Mhm.
else.
Yeah.
Because what was happening was previously, last couple years, I'm seeing like, oh, I got this extra time. Let me go
Mhm.
in, let me go hard, do all this. But in actuality, I never felt rested. So I was going back to my day job as an
Mhm.
educator, still not rested, still feeling uninspired, depressed, all those other negative feelings. So
Mhm.
that was a non-negotiable for me this school year. Another non-negotiable for me that I implemented this school year was to take off the last 2 weeks in December, which also falls with a school break.
Mhm.
But that was just very important to me. Like I wanted to enjoy Christmas, the holidays,
Mhm.
without any extra foolishness. Same with my birthday. My birthday was Saturday. I was like, I'm not working. I only did one thing that was related to a client, and it was only because of a time constraint.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
but normally I wouldn't have done none of that. So that
Mhm.
was a beautiful thing. Take the days, take your days, take your days. Oh my gosh. Uh, And I mean this in the most beautiful way. If you kill over and die,
Mhm.
have your job posted up. So take your days. Another reason why I say that is this year was the first year that I went out of town on a whim. That was like not super planned, few months ahead of time, all of that.
I love
A
that.
friend of ours, girl, it was beautiful. A friend of ours, and his wife wanted to do a retreat. It was that's a couple's retreat.
Mhm.
Um, for his birthday, and which was in November. So I was like, normally I'm like, oh my gosh, we got Thanksgiving break coming up. I don't want to take off. Mm-mm. We ended up doing a 4-day retreat at this beautiful
Mhm.
Airbnb in Georgia. It was so beautiful. And we
Mhm.
did nothing. Absolutely. It was four of us couples. Did absolutely nothing but eat, watch TV, fellowship, play games in the game room in the house.
Mhm.
I think we maybe only thing we did was go to the store. Walmart was 12 minutes up the street.
Mhm.
Other than that, we took naps. Nobody had their laptops. Well, we had our laptops, but nobody was working. Like the only time I
Yeah.
took my laptop out was to watch the movie because they was watching something else, and I wanted to watch Grey's Anatomy. That was the only reason why I had even had. Like, if we did talk business, because all of us are business owners and professionals, it
Mhm.
wasn't in a like I gotta work. It was more like this creativity, ideation moment if we were discussing business. Um, and it didn't feel like pressure. It felt like
Yeah.
excitement. And like, girl, when I tell you so many things clicked,
I
oh
love
my
that.
gosh, we were
Yeah.
like clouded. Like we were
Mhm.
not clouded. We were at peace and napping. We was freaking napping in the middle of the day on a Thursday, well, Friday. It was
Mhm.
amazing. So plan those retreats. Like we're trying to figure out how we can do it at least, if not every month, because that's not realistic in our lifestyle right now, but
Mhm.
minimally every quarter. Like how can
Yeah.
we do a self retreat every quarter, even if it doesn't mean going to Georgia? We in Nashville. We got cabins in Nashville
Mhm.
or a hotel or your own house. Just take everything
Mhm.
away, you know? So non-negotiables, give yourself some retreats. That's my new
Yeah.
thing now.
I love
It was,
that. I love that for you.
yeah, it was
And
amazing.
it's awesome what happens when you like let yourself rest and when you make room for joy and when you make room for pleasure that opens up like new avenues for you to do the things that you want to do. And I feel like it helps you get more clear because you're not like stuck in that kind of super structured, like robotic kind of
Mhm.
way of thinking. Like you get to take yourself off autopilot for a little while.
Ooh, you said
Um,
the word autopilot.
mhm. So I want to ask you, what is your non-negotiable pleasure principle?
Ooh, wait. Non-negotiable pleasure principle. That's what you said.
Yes.
Ooh. First of all, that's the activity right there. That needs to be your next challenge. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh. Non-negotiable pleasure principle.
Hmm.
That's a hard question. I'm like legit thinking right now. I gotta sit with that. What's yours?
My non-negotiable pleasure principle right now for me is safety. So
Mm,
things that make me feel safe,
mhm,
whether that's journaling, whether that's prayer, whether that's
mhm,
just falling up in the damn blankets like a burrito.
mhm,
Like
mhm,
whatever I need to feel safe, I give myself that.
mhm.
That's my non-negotiable right now.
Mhm. I feel that that resonates very, 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 very deeply. Safety. Yes. If safety is yours, which I would say that's one of them,
Hmm.
sanity is mine.
Yes, ma'am.
Maintaining my sanity in this juncture of a life.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I already shared some with boundaries and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, if it's like, if it doesn't bring me peace, I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's
Yes.
disrupting my spirit, I don't want it. If I
Mm-hmm.
feel uneasy about it, that means I shouldn't do it. Yeah, depending on what it is though, because sometimes it's
Yeah.
just nervousness,
Yeah.
right? But if it makes me feel, because I'm very much so a feeler, I'm an empath or whatever. If it makes me feel some type of way and it don't feel safe and it's gonna jack up my sanity, you can
Mm-hmm.
have that over there. No, 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 no. I would tell you no in a heartbeat. So I would definitely say maybe sanity and peace, like that's where I'm at right now. If it don't
Mm-hmm.
align to that, you can kick rocks, bruh.
Nice. That
Bye.
sounds nice. Okay, and then I got one more question before we wrap up, so people can get
Okay.
a nice variety of just pleasure in general and what it can look like. And so I want to ask you, what does pleasure feel like to you?
Ooh, pleasure feels like laughter,
Mm-hmm.
like a good, hearty, sides hurting, snorting, tears coming out of your eyes, laughter. I love to laugh like that, like
Mm-hmm.
a hard laugh. Um, pleasure is, and I hope this don't sound a type of way, but pleasure is a warm hug from a child that loves you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's one of the reasons why I've stayed in the work that I do so long
Yeah.
is because of the pure love that little humans, because I worked in elementary, that little
Mm-hmm.
humans give you because they love you. And they
Mm-hmm.
say that to you, or they make you little pictures of, I love this is Porter, or I made this for you, or giving you candy. Like, I hate how it may sound with the word pleasure and children. Like, y'all, come on. No.
Yeah.
So we're gonna change that pleasure to joy. Like, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to putting that word with next to a child. Right. But
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my favorite things of just seeing children smile,
Mm-hmm.
um, their joy. Anybody, not even just children, but of course it warms my heart when it's children. But just seeing other people smile and be joyful and living their happiness and their truth. Um, it looks like a warm blanket or a hoodie, an oversized hoodie and sweatpants.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it looks like and feels like, well, more so it looks like my dog and his crazy self being
Mm-hmm.
so excited to see me when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
That's my entire being. But just
Mm-hmm.
like a child, like to have something and someone be so happy to see you. So amazing. And I would say, just because I keep going, I got a whole list. Pleasure is also like laying in my man's arms, like I don't know, it's like just like laying up on his neck. That's like everything to me. Safe.
I
It
love
goes with
it.
safety too. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-mm-mm. That sounds good. Um,
right. Pleasure is chocolate.
yes, listen, I
Okay.
finally did like a Christmas candy bowl. I got
Mm-hmm.
some Ghirardelli peppermint bark in there. I got some different kinds of
Mm-hmm.
truffles, and the kids get nervous. The chocolate is
Mm-hmm. Of
funny. The kids get
course.
nervous. But it's like
Yes.
the holiday nerd gummy cluster thing. Um, yes, I felt all of that. But now I want to be smoothie. Anyway,
That part.
it's been a pleasure speaking with you as always. As always.
Period. That's what we do.
And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and share your energy and your light with me and everybody that is listening. And I know that there are people out there who just want to get to know more about you. They are likely looking for some design work. Where can they follow you and find you online?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at cultivated.connections.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you will see most of my education work on that page as I'm working to merge both of the things together. But that's the best place to find me. Or you can email me at like my name, Tanjarae Porter, like Porterhouse Steaks, at cultivatedconnections.org. That is my email address. And if you want to do some annual planning to get your joy and your creativity back, come hang out with me December 21st, and I'll share the link with you as well, L'Oreal. It's a workshop. It's going to be an interactive workshop. And it's called, the name of it is Reset, Reflect, and Revive. And we're really going to be like talking about, not necessarily the pleasure principles, because you need to trademark that. That was nice. But there's things that will impact your joy, your creativity, your wellness, your holistic wellness, in the midst of the things, the work, the businesses, the things. It is like targeted towards teachers. However, anybody can come. You just take what you need and leave what you don't. So that's December 21st, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, on Zoom. So, stay, leave, take what you need, join the community. Come on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we probably gonna end up having to do a part 2, but we'll
I'm here
connect
for it.
we'll connect about that after all of this wraps up.
I'm here for it.
So much. Love you.
Love you more.
Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of the Power of Pleasure podcast. Make sure to check the website, powerofpleasurepodcast.substack.com. On the site, not only will you find some blog posts and other helpful tools to help you continue the mission, you'll also be able to access the show notes as well as any social links and resources from this week's guest. While you're at it, if you found this information valuable, which I'm sure you did in some way, go ahead and take a few moments to leave a rating or review wherever you're listening to this episode and share out on social. I hope to see you next week for another episode of the show. And in the meantime, in between time, go out and do one thing today to help you embrace pleasure as a lifestyle.